Yeah, Brexit doesn't actually become fact for another year, but obviously everybody's talking about it because it matters. If there's going to be a border, a hard border, soft border, in between border, coming across the border for your school, for your work, for your granny, for your shopping, for your diesel, of course these things matter. But what about your wedding? Hotels in Donegal. Some of the key hotels are telling us that bookings are down on the Donegal side. Good news, of course, for hotels potentially on this side of the border. Eoghan Corry joins me, as does Paul Diver, the chairman of the Donegal branch of the Irish Hotels Federation. Both men were at a Cavan conference looking at this very matter. Eoghan, firstly, do you want to pick it up from there? How would you assess the concern in the Donegal side of the border?
Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon.
The Irish Hotels Federation annual conference was in Cavan this year, and quite a lot of talking to a lot of the hoteliers there, they were making a couple of points. One of them being that a lot of the emphasis in the debate in Irish tourism has been on the impact on British visitors. A lot of British visitors come in, over 4 million of them, and it's down about 6% last year.
6.
So they're talking about what the decline in British visitors that is already manifest, and what is coming down the tracks in the years to come. But what they said, they made a very valid point about weddings. Border hotels, they're not on the Wild Atlantic Way unless you're on the west coast of Donegal, but a lot of them are dependent on the wedding business, more than 50-60% of their turnover for the year, and they would have relied a lot on Northern Ireland weddings. There's 22,000 people getting married. It'll never go out of fashion, Mark. There's 22,000 people getting married each year in the 6 counties. So what they're saying is that the huge uncertainty, and it was even there in that news bulletin, the level of uncertainty when we've only 13 months to go to the actual Brexit, is so high that it's really affecting forward bookings for weddings, because a wedding isn't something you just decide on Tuesday to do next Saturday unless you're in Las Vegas.
Well, I suppose, Paul Diver, nice to have you on the show. As the owner of the Sandhouse there, technically I would have thought then you're on the Wild Atlantic Way. It's that thing about knowing where your money's going to go, and indeed, as a bride and groom, how far your money's going to go. Paul, are you concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with everything that Eoghan said there. A wedding, it's the most important day in the bride and groom's life. They wanted to make sure that everything goes like clockwork. They don't want any grey areas. When you hear Boris Johnson, yes, you're going to get a comment that there will be a hard border. That creates a grey area for brides and grooms, and they won't take any chances. The wedding business in Donegal and Northern Ireland, it's, very important business, for hotels and Letterkenny and Eoghan and whatnot. But Donegal is also a very important venue, for couples from Northern Ireland. There'll be a huge tradition of coming to Donegal for their holidays and whatnot. So it's an idyllic setting for their weddings. But, as you rightly say, it's just the whole uncertainty.
Paul, what about your own domestic trade, the Donegal trade? I mean, would Donegal brides be tempted not to maybe go for Ballyliffin or Rossnowla and maybe, give Isham and the White Horse in Derry, or Keir and the Bishopsgate, these lovely hotels on this side of the border? Would your domestic, your local trade even come this way, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Sort of tourism in general, Northern Ireland was a huge source of tourism to Donegal, and in the last 10, 15 years, Northern Ireland has become a huge competition for us, which is great. Competition is good. But you'd have the same, brides and grooms from Donegal would have the same concern about a border. Is it going to be a hard border? What kind of border is it going to be? And as I say, comments being thrown out about a hard border, it does untold damage. Because as Eoghan rightly said, a wedding, it's in the planning for maybe 3-4 years, and they want everything to be absolutely perfect, and they want certainty on everything.
Well, I suppose it will do with a bit of certainty. Paul, sorry, how much of the trade did you say yours in the Sandhouse was weddings? Did you say 60?
No. We wouldn't actually have a huge amount of wedding business in the Sandhouse. It's more tourism. But hotels in Letterkenny and in Ballyface with Northern Eoghan would be very reliant on the Northern Ireland market, and they're finding that that's got very, very difficult.
Well, Eoghan, just back to yourself, you edit Travel Extra. In terms of those margins, if you take the weddings out to the degree of what? 4, 6, 8, 10, 15% of a coastal hotel, that's serious stuff.
Well, you're also dealing with 20% decline in sterling. So already, without anything happening with the economy, the prices are hiking from somebody in Derry looking at a wedding. Some of the people who've already booked weddings will have found that in the last 12 months. Now, the hoteliers are pretty good at running in with competition. They're able to compete price-wise, and they're able to, the facilities that are there would be pretty astonishing and pretty good. But the real thing is that the uncertainty. You know, if they're making plans on a level of weddings that doesn't include cross-border weddings, that impacts everything. It impacts all their staffing, everything like that. And your point is very valid that they're wonderful. I mean, Bishopsgate is probably the most hipster hotel in Ireland. It's one of the best hotels I've stayed in the last.
It's top 5 now in the United Kingdom across all fronts.
It's absolutely an amazing place. There are others, but for many years there wasn't a development into hotels. It's probably 15 years since we had a hotel. The first hotel opened within the walls in Derry. So it's there is a reliance in the border counties on a lot of cross-border weddings because the facilities probably weren't there on the other side. That will be changing over the years. But it's certainly the price thing is a head wreck for bride and groom.
Well, indeed. To say nothing for farmers, who are having to plan contingencies that are unknown. Weddings, as you say, Paul, back to yourself. I often feel for the border fuel station 100 yards on either side of the jurisdiction. One is booming, the other one goes bust. Then it's a changed set of circumstances 8 years later. Paul, you might not like it, but a lot of northern hoteliers who have observed concern about Brexit on this side of the border. Will it be hard? Will it be soft? Will it be manned? Will it be military? We'll be maybe saying, well, look, this is maybe a bit of good news for Brexit with regard to the northern economy.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think hotels in Northern Ireland, you know, they've seen the increase in tourism to Ireland as an island. You know, one of the things that we've noticed in Donegal is overseas visitors. They're flying into Belfast. They're doing the North Coast, Giant Causeway and whatnot, and then they're coming into North Donegal and starting the White Atlantic Way in North Donegal and working down. You know, so thankfully, you know, visitors that are coming to Ireland are going to Northern Ireland as well as Southern Ireland.
Are you saying they're driving through Derry? Not happy to hear that.
At least they're stopping for a cup of coffee.
Oh, well, here, I need to talk about that. Eoghan, seriously, you know, we still aren't clear of the eventualities here. That's the way politics goes and rolls. Of course it is. But in terms of the other members that you were speaking to and around Cavan, any further concerns there? I mean, you know, quite really, I mean, is this the bottom line basically, or is it workable?
They've no idea whether it's workable or not because, you know, the point is increasingly being made. It was made also by Ryanair at the press briefing I was on Monday, that Europe has a strategy that we've absolutely, with 13 months to go, no idea what the British strategy is. And it seems increasingly coherent by the day. So aviation planners, tourism planners, the hoteliers, it could be good news, it could be bad news, there could be workarounds. As you say, business always finds a way is one of the favourite sayings of Howard Hastings, the great Northern Ireland hotelier. But unless we know what's happening, there is no chance of conceiving a workaround, and they may have to cobble together something at very, very short notice. The other issue in the Midlands regions, so places that are away from the iconic spots, they rely very heavily on British tourism, more heavily than the more expensive the destinations out to the west. It's where British coach tours come through. So they will be relying much more heavily on the English market than their counterparts in the tourist honeypots. And they are quite worried because quite a lot of their business is British. It's a little bit like the beer ad. It reaches the spots nobody else reaches.
Other hotels don't reach.
They're where the British go, and that market we could be looking at. First of all, we're looking at the sterling differential of 20%. Then we're looking at the decline, which is already hit by about 6%, and possibly a 10-year recession, which will kick in once Britain exits the European Union. So it's not looking really good for anyone relying on the British business.
We need a bit of good news today, but hopefully we'll come to that between now and 3. But look, fellas, it's very important we talk about that in sort of no uncertain terms. So thank you both, and we will come back to it, of course. Eoghan and Paul, thank you both.